This is the start of side 2. And to local news with Rod, who will start with sport.
And first it's football. Enfield 1893 competed well for most of the game before eventually suffering a 4-2 defeat at home to high-flying FC Romania in the Essex Senior League. Dan Norton gave the E's the lead in the 16th minute of last Tuesday's match, and they held on to their advantage until the visitors into the second half. It was not until the last 20 minutes that the game really came to life, though, with the visitors scoring twice in quick succession to take control. Tom Phillips gave the E's some hope by pulling one back with 5 minutes remaining, but their fate was sealed when they conceded again 3 minutes later. Having been without a match over the weekend, Enfield 1893 go to London Barry tonight, 7:45.
Rugby Union, I have one for Enfield Ignatians will take on holders Hammersmith and Fulham in the semi-finals of the Middlesex Cup after edging to a 22-18 victory at HAC in the last 8 of the competition on Saturday. The visitors twice fell behind in the first half, but tries from Jack Wilson and centre Alex Androili saw them level the scores at 10-10 by the interval. Although a poor third quarter saw Ignatians fall 18-10 behind, they finished the match strongly, and tries from Christo Kasabi and Dave Gear, coupled with a Jordan Wilson conversion, sealed the win. Coach Emil Hertz said, "What we wanted after a poor run of league form was for the players to come off the field smiling, and it was great to see so many happy faces. It's amazing what a difference a week makes, and we've earned ourselves a home semi-final."
And now on to letters, and this is a letter from Josie Purcell, Labour Party member, trustee of the Broadhouse Trust. The Labour Party's National Executive Committee, NEC, shortlist of only 3 women is disgraceful when 12 people were interviewed. It is known that Labour policy is to promote women, but has equality gone backwards when none of the male candidates were shortlisted? I assume there were male candidates among the 12, or did these 3 women perform so well in an interview that they totally outshone all the others? It will be said that such a list is due to MP Andy Love's sudden decision to retire. I don't think so. Andy's short notice is no excuse. I would like to see the 9 rejected candidates and Edmonton membership vociferously dispute the NEC's decision. I have written my objections to the NEC via Edmonton PLC's secretary. I have voted Labour all my life and been a Labour member for a number of years, and whilst I could not refuse to vote, I am afraid I will have to look to cast my vote with another party come election time.
And I have a letter from John Ruan, who lives in Willow Road, Enfield. And he says, Chris Bond is regarded as a perpetual menace, riding roughshod over the responsible and caring citizens in our borough. He himself does not drive, thus his apparent desire to make traversing our borough resemble tackling an obstacle course. Having decorated many areas of Enfield with largely unnecessary speed bumps, he is now championing the Mini Holland initiative. This is Enfield, not Amsterdam. Already congestion is heavy. Cars need to be parked. Businesses require customers. Cycle lanes will mean ripping up pavements, trees, lampposts, etc. Even greater chaos will ensue, and motorists will find themselves even more restricted. Enfield is not designed for this. If a £30 million mayoral grant is burning a hole in his pocket, invest elsewhere. Certainly cyclists must be considered. I cycle and drive, but I do not want to see Enfield town and beyond uprooted for a minority grouping. Common sense must prevail. An outcome that would serve us all should be adopted, and the money used should be spent more wisely on viable common sense schemes.
Indeed. Sunday League youth football teams are demanding that pitch prices are dropped after an independent survey found only 1 in 10 was in good condition. The Cheshunt Youth League has questioned the pricing for pitches in the borough after a survey commissioned by Enfield Borough Council revealed 10% of its pitches were classed as good, while 62% were acceptable. In September, the league launched a petition deeming that pitches were not safe for children to play on, sparking the council's survey. Results revealed that 28% of pitches in the borough were classed as unsatisfactory, poor or unacceptable, with 15 of those at Enfield playing fields, the borough's biggest concentration of pitches. Hiring senior pitches costs £980 for a Grade 2 pitch, or £1,570 for a Grade 1 pitch. The league's development officer, Alf Fajardo, claims the survey shows teams have been grossly overpaying for pitches that do not justify their price bracket. He said, if the council believes that having 62% of pitches as acceptable and 10% of good is a victory, then they need to think again, because it's not. Our league uses 77 of Enfield Council's pitches, and just 12 of them were deemed good. The majority of our pitches are Grade 1 or Grade 2, which are the highest pay brackets, and this report clearly shows that the pitches are not in those brackets. That means teams have been grossly overpaying the council for very few good pitches. Since the 2008-2009 season, the league has suffered a drop in clubs from 64 to 36, and Mr. Fajardo fears that if prices are not reduced, then more teams could go. He added, in Waltham Forest, the council gave a 50% discount to teams under 16, and this should be applied to our teams. We have one of the highest obesity rates in the country, and that is only going to get worse. Cabinet Member for Environment and Community Safety, Councillor Chris Bond, said he was pleased with the report. He said, I'm pleased that our football pitches have, generally speaking, been given a good bill of health. Having said that, we know more work needs to be done to bring all our pitches up to an acceptable standard, and we've been concentrating on doing that in recent months. I'd like to thank the Football Association for their assistance in this matter. The council stated that it will be working with the Football Association to continue improving pitches in the borough. Councillor Joanne Laban, Shadow Cabinet Member for Environment, said, Enfield's Labour Council needs to put an action plan into place to get those pitches that are deemed unacceptable or of poor quality up to scratch. Pitches are income streams for the council, so in these challenging times it is paramount that they are all of good quality so that we can compete with private pitches and other local authorities. The report justifies the local press stories of football teams complaining about the standards of some of the pitches they hire. If people are paying for these pitches, it is up to the council to deliver a good service.
A carers centre hopes a donation from the Enfield Independent's parent company can help to establish hubs for young adult carers. Enfield Carers Centre, ECC, in Baker Street, was awarded £1,000 from the Gannett Foundation, the charitable arm of Gannett, the American owner of Enfield Independent publisher NewsQuest. The money will go towards buying equipment for the hubs, which launched last week. Fortnightly meetings will take place for young carers aged between 16 and 25 to come together to enjoy a range of activities, socialise, receive training, support and counselling, and help them build confidence and self-esteem. Fiona Jones of ECC said, young adult carers being supported by ECC are dealing with a wide range of situations and challenges, including caring for a family member with a mental health condition, terminal illness or a long-term disability or illness. Being a carer can have a huge impact on the decisions that young people make about their futures and can put them at a real educational and employment disadvantage. They can suffer from social isolation from an early age, and they often do not have the time or confidence to socialize with their peers. Giving them a chance to meet new people, build confidence, and access advice is invaluable. The meetings are initially set to last 6 months, but the centre is hoping to continue its new project if it can get more donations. Anyone who would like to attend the meetings should call 0208 366 3677.
A woman has had to move house after her home was targeted by racist thugs. The woman, whom this newspaper has decided not to name, comes from a traveller's background. She has been living at her home in eastern Enfield for the past year. The thugs have been tormenting her during a hate campaign lasting several months. Earlier this month, they smashed their way through a wooden fence and daubed a window and wall with the words "Pikey Scum" in red spray paint. The woman, who has been rehoused elsewhere in North London with her 2 children, says their case should be treated as a race hate crime. The Friends, Families and Travellers charity has been fighting the family's corner since the trouble began. It was set up to fight against racism directed towards travellers and gypsies. A spokesman from the organisation told the Advertiser this was a very nasty case of a woman and her children being hounded from their home by racists. If this had been any other minority group, it would have been dealt with differently. But travellers are a group that need to be protected as well. The victim said, "We have now been rehoused, but it was terrible. My children were targeted because of their background, and it took months for any action to be taken. Friends, family and travellers were amazing. They called me every single day and helped when I was really frightened and depressed. I don't think Enfield Council did enough to help us. If people used the N-word or the P-word, they would have acted sooner." A council spokesman insisted that the woman's case had been dealt with seriously and added that commenting further might identify the victims and subject them to further abuse. A Met Police spokesman confirmed that officers had investigated the case as racially aggravated criminal damage, but said the investigation had been closed without arrests.
A school has been rewarded for improving grades with a £5,000 grant from the Department of Education. Oasis Academy Enfield in Innova Park, Enfield Lock, was given the Pupil Premium Award and says it will apply for more. In a letter to the Schools Minister David Laws MP commended the Academy for its value-added progress to disadvantaged pupils. It reads, "The reason you have been selected is that you are one of the most improved schools in the country in terms of attainment and value-added progress of your disadvantaged pupils since 2011. In addition, your school has proven to be one of the top 90 in England, showing the greatest sustained improvement percentage of pupils achieving 5 or more A to C GCSE grades, including English and mathematics." Principal Neil Hassel said, "We are immensely proud to have been awarded a prestigious Pupil Premium Award by the Department for Education. The award reflects all of the hard work put in by staff and students at the Academy as we have grown together to become one of the top 90 schools in the country for sustaining improvement at GCSE and one of the most improved schools in the country for the attainment and progress of disadvantaged pupils."
Gang squad detectives are investigating 2 stabbings on Saturday when 2 men were rushed to hospital with serious injuries. Police were called to Morley Avenue, Edmonton, just after 1:30 p.m. following reports of a fight. They discovered a 22-year-old man with stab wounds to his wrist and his legs. He was taken to an East London hospital where he remains in a serious but stable condition. About an hour later, police were called to reports of a second stabbing in Caversham Avenue, Palmer's Green. They discovered a 24-year-old man, and he was also taken to an East London hospital, where he remains in a serious but stable condition. The second victim was arrested. Police believe the two stabbings are linked and gang-related. Detective Constable Mem Williamson said, "We are appealing for anyone who would have been in or around the Morley Avenue area who may have seen a fight among a small group of people during which we believe the stabbing may have occurred. We are also appealing for anyone in the wider area around Pims Park that may have seen people suffering injuries, running away, or leaving the Morley Avenue area. Anyone with information is asked to call police on 0208 217 7301, or they can contact Crime Stoppers anonymously on 0800 555 111, or visit the website via www.crimestoppers-uk.org.
Health workers showed their dedication to a colleague who died of a heart attack by raising more than £120 for a heart charity. Staff at Fortuna Healthcare in Crown Road, Enfield, raised the money during their Valentine's coffee morning. They held a fundraising event, including a homemade cake sale and raffle in memory of Brian Stonehenge, who died from a heart attack in February 2012. Last year, the group raised £121 by wearing red for British Heart Foundation in memory of the sales manager.
People caught carrying a knife for a second time will now face an automatic jail sentence. The amendment for the Criminal Courts and Justice Bill has been led by Enfield North MP Nick Dubois and Enfield Southgate MP David Burrows. It will mean adults caught carrying a knife for the second time in public will face an automatic jail sentence of 6 months, and 16 to 17-year-olds 4 months. It was given royal assent last Thursday, but it has not yet been determined when it will be enforced. Mr. Dubois previously called for anti-knife crime measures as part of the Legal Aid, Sentencing and Punishment of Offenders Bill, which was passed in December 2012 and backed by the Enfield Independent's Don't Carry, Don't Kill campaign. Mr. Dubois said the new law would have a significant impact on knife crime. He said, "I am pleased that this bill has now received royal assent. This law will make a significant contribution to deterring people from carrying knives. The truth is, to kill someone with a knife, you first have to carry a knife, and I hope this law will be effective in reducing the number of people who think it's okay to carry knives."
People protesting against a new school are furious at claims the site was leased for just £1. Enfield Borough Council let Ladysmith Road open space in Upper Edmonton to St John the Evangelist Church, which received approval to build the Meridian Angel C of E Primary School on the site, leaving only a small part of the grounds for the community. Residences of Edmonton Angel Community Together, REACT, claim they were told at a meeting with council officers that the open space next to Dyson's Road had been leased for £1. Aggrieved at losing the area's only open space, the group is furious was leased for the miserly figure. Grace Camel, a member of REACT, told the Enfield Independent, "Report after report has stated that this is a well-set-up park and had a lovely playground. This was not a run-down piece of land that warranted being leased for just £1. It is disgraceful. There is contamination on the site, but that does not mean it can be sold for such a small figure. We are all outraged by what the council has done. The site is to be decontaminated by the council before the school is built by the church, but the residents believe the council did not seek value for money in leasing the park off." Ms. Kemmel added, "It is a policy that the council should seek the best deal for people in the borough, and what we have been told is not a fair deal on our precious land. We feel the local residents have been left with no green space in the area. Enfield Council said it was too commercially sensitive to reveal how much the site was leased for. A spokesman said, Enfield Council is not selling this site. We are entering into a long-term lease arrangement with London Community Learning Trust, which will see a school and a public park built on this site. This arrangement represents the best interests of the community, the Council of London Community Learning Trust, and will play an important role in increasing the number of school places in this part of Enfield, while providing a lovely safe haven for families to enjoy.
A long consultation process into a multi-million-pound cycling scheme has kicked off in Palmer's Green. Hundreds of residents, business people and cyclists flocked to the Fox pub in Green Lanes for the first open day about the Cycle Enfield scheme. Enfield Borough Council received £30 million from Mayor of London Boris Johnson to improve cycling across the borough as part of the project, formerly known as Mini Holland. For the first time, people in Enfield were able to give their opinions and voice their concerns about initial plans last Thursday. In the first of 4 open day events, the council says it is taking a different approach to consultation on the scheme. Cabinet Member for Environment, Councillor Chris Bond, told the Enfield Independent that the first step is to hear people's views. He said, "We are taking this in a completely different way to other consultations. Before, we would create plans and then consult. But with such a major project, we want to hear from residents first before any plans are drafted." People streamed into the pub and were able to pinpoint on a map where they feel would be best for a cycle route, the possible dangers, and comments on the overall scheme. Councillor Bond added, "Residents know their area better than I do, and that is what this event is all about. This could be a once-in-a-generation project that could transform Enfield, and that is very exciting." But sceptics in Enfield town and along Green Lanes in Palmer's Green claim trade and car parking could be lost if cycle lanes run through the 2 town centres. Last month, the Enfield Independent revealed 6 initial plans for Enfield Town, which had been discussed at the scheme's partnership board, in which the majority of proposals plotted a cycle lane through the town. However, Councillor Bond believes that the cycle scheme can reinvigorate town centres. He said, "We believe this scheme can bring more business into town centres." Costas Georgiou of Green Lanes Business Association is opposed to cycle lanes through Green Lanes. He said, "It was a slick and professional setup by the council, and I am happy that they have put this on. However, I still believe that it would be a bad idea to have cycle lanes through Green Lanes. It will be much better to have the cycle lane around the outside of the centre on a scenic route that doesn't affect parking in Green Lanes." The second open day took place at the Dugdale Centre in London Road, Enfield Town recently, with others to be held at Community House in 4 Street, Edmonton on Monday, March the 2nd, and the Ordnance Unity Centre in Hertford Road, Enfield on April 2nd. The exhibitions take place from 3 p.m. till 8 p.m.
Those seeking work could find an event offering employment and career opportunities, just the job. The annual Enfield Jobs Fair, organised by Enfield North MP Nick Dubois, is being held at Southbury Leisure Centre in Southbury Road, Enfield, next Thursday, February the 26th. More companies than ever before will be taking part, offering specialist advice to those looking for work, apprenticeships and jobs. Mr. Dubois believes that the growing interest of national and local businesses looking to get involved is a sign that the economy is finally turning around for the better. The fair is open to all ages, providing employment opportunities in skilled and professional jobs as well as unskilled and training jobs. Unemployment has been falling, with youth unemployment dropping by more than 50%, according to Mr. Dubois. However, The over 50s have seen a smaller decline in the same period, with just an 18% decrease. An over 50s forum will be on hand to give advice and tips, as well as apprenticeships, and some companies will be looking to recruit immediately.
Work has begun to regenerate woodland at a new housing development. Demolition of the former Middlesex University campus in Cat Hill, Cockfosters, started last year to make way for 231 houses. Developer London and Quadrant is now starting work to preserve the wooded area on the site and the pond on the boundary of Chaseside, Southgate. Stuart Miller, Managing Director of Quadrant Construction, said, "Once completed, the improved landscape at Cat Hill will provide a fantastic feature for local residents and a better natural habitat for wildlife in the area. We are working in close association with the local authority and Natural England, as well as dedicated environmental specialists, to ensure these works are completed sensitively and to a high standard. The aim is to reintroduce native species of trees such as the yellow flowering irises and both white and yellow water lilies. The site was the subject of a bitter feud between residents surrounding the site and L&Q over claims that habitat on the site would be lost and disputes that the site should not be used to build properties."
2 Enfield MPs had a flipping marvellous time as they competed in a parliamentary pancake race. Enfield North MP Nick Dubois and Enfield Southgate MP David Burrows took part in the Shrove Tuesday event organised by Rehab Group, which supports disabled and marginalised people in the UK through education, training and social care. We have reached the end of our programme for this week. Thank you for listening. So from the team of
Rod
and myself, Lillian, with Colin on controls, it's cheerio.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye. Please remember to turn over the address label in your postal packet, put the cassette into the packet and return it to us as soon as possible in readiness for the next edition. The Enfield Talking newspaper will be with you again in 1 week's time.